Are you excited about project management? If the answer is yes, you're going to love this. If the answer is no, you're wrong. It's supposed to be yes. Just kidding with you. In this video, I will paint a clear picture of what a project is. So if you end up discussing projects, your base will be covered. Hi, I'm Peter Sibelius, the founder of medicaldevicehq.com. What you're about to see is part of our online course on project management for medical device product development. If this is your area of interest, check the link in the description to read more about this course. While you're at it, click the subscribe and notifications buttons and make sure you never miss new content. If you manage to implement good project management and have an organization that supports the project, you can improve your time to market, you can lower your project costs and create really competitive products while still being in regulatory compliance. And that's something to strive for sure. That could mean a lot of peace of mind for you and your coworkers, and that in itself is a good reason to take this course. Now, this course is specifically about project management for product development of medical devices. Medical devices could be so many different things. In this course, I'm mostly using quite simple products as examples so that everyone, regardless of what you happen to be working with, will be able to relate to them and understand the cases. But my very first example is actually not a medical device. It's a sort of a metaphor, and that is a house building project that most of you who are taking this course should be able to relate to in one or another way. So let's think about a house that is to be built by a construction company. There is a family that appoints the construction company to build the house, and they agree with the construction company that a house with certain characteristics and features will be built within a certain time frame and at a predetermined cost. Actually, this is a project in a nutshell, because there are three things in this setup that we normally associate with projects, and that would be that there is a defined scope or result, there is a schedule or a time constraint, and lastly, a budget to stick to. It's quite common to depict these three dimensions or constraints of a project by the use of a triangle. Now, this triangle could look something like this. It would typically have scope, cost, and time as three constraints or dimensions for a project. Now, before getting into the details of that, let me say that there are many different variations of this triangle. For example, scope could be referred to as quality, result, or product, and instead of cost, you may be using the word resources or budget. Time could be referred to as schedule. Some would even throw in quality or scope in the middle of this triangle. But regardless of what you call these constraints or corners of the triangle, it won't fundamentally change the meaning of the model. So we are going to stick with this clean version. The only issue that I have with this version is that scope is somewhat abstract. So to me, result is an easier to understand term. However, it's rarely used in this context. So therefore, I will still use the term scope. But if you think scope is abstract, think about results, product, or deliverables instead, which makes it a lot easier to understand. Now, let's get back to the house building. Could the project management triangle be used as a model for the house building that we were just looking at? Sure, it could. You have the scope, you have the cost and time. So let's switch gears and look at the roles the family and the construction company would have and relate them to typical project roles. The family would correspond to a steering group who would not only own and provide the resources to the project, but also be the ones to influence the requirements on the house and the project, and maintain the house or the result after completion. This makes the family equivalent to a project steering group. And the construction company contact person, or maybe CEO, will promise to deliver on time and execute the project, which makes him equivalent to the project manager. And lastly, the construction workers would equate to team members. For those of you who are taking this course and have some experience, using this metaphor for a project might seem banal, but trust me, organizations go wrong over and over again on the most fundamental and basic things in project management. So thinking of this simple metaphor with the family and the house could actually help, even if you have experience. Have you experienced projects that started without a clear picture of what's to be delivered? Sure you have. Would you order a house from a construction company and say to them that you really haven't figured out what you want, but they can start building anyway? Probably not. But in product development, it happens all the time that you start without clear alignment on what the organization or the user's needs are or what the users want. So has it happened that the steering group members have told members of the project team to do their job, even though they don't always have the proper competence to do that? Yes. And that is appropriate. That is as appropriate as being the buyer of the house and telling the person making the bathroom watertight how she or he should be doing their job. We simply wouldn't do that, would we? So I believe that sometimes when you encounter those situations where people are not clear on the roles or do not fully understand the concept of a project and project organization, try to use the house building metaphor as a simple means of explaining what people should be doing and what the mechanisms are when developing a product in a project organization. Before I said that the family agreed with the construction company to deliver something. What's important in that statement is the word agree. Let's look back at the family and the construction company. It's likely that they have a contract that both parties have signed. It will probably say that the construction company will be delivering the house according to drawings and applicable construction norms and policies within a stipulated time frame. In return, the family will make available the agreed upon funding throughout the project. How is this relevant to project management? The contract in this metaphor is the equivalent to the project plan. I think it's easy to see why you would have a contract with the construction company if you are paying for the house, or if you are the one building the house expecting to be paid for it. The same applies, or at least should apply, to projects. But in a project, that contract would be the project plan. Before we get to a formal and written definition of what a project is, let me tell you about a guide to the project management body of knowledge. The guide to the project management body of knowledge is usually referred to as the PMBOK. If you ask me, it's the most comprehensive and up-to-date reference book on project management that you can find. This doesn't mean that it's a good read or that it's very inspiring. In fact, I think it's the opposite. But the fact still remains. If you want a standardized, comprehensive source of processes and tools and terminology for project management, I think the PMBOK is the right book for you. You can even be certified as a project manager based on the PMBOK. That certification is referred to as PMP, or Project Management Professional, which is a certification I've held for many years. Throughout this course, I will mainly be using terminology and concepts from the PMBOK. Now, in the PMBOK, a project is defined as a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. This translates fairly well to the project management triangle that we were looking at before, because temporary suggests that there is a time constraint, and product, service, or results would be the scope. And even though the cost is not mentioned in the definition, it goes without saying, because you can't have a result without using resources. But there is one more thing to look at specifically in the definition, and that is the word unique. If what you are doing is not unique, but has been done before, you should probably not organize the work as a project. For example, running production that will be ongoing over time is not appropriately organized as a project. But if you are working in a medical device company with product development, it's likely to be unique in the sense that it will always be a new product, or a product which is being changed in one or another way. And if so, organizing the work as a project is likely to be a good choice. Now we have been looking at a formal definition of what a project is. If I were to explain in the simplest way what it means to be a medical device product development project manager, I would say that it is to get the product to market. And it is your job to do that by any ethical and legal means you can. Project management is about using all the tricks and tools that you have up your sleeves to get this job done. Now, being the project manager is equivalent to be the contact person at the construction company for the house building project. The family will most certainly expect that person to do his or her job efficiently and deliver what has been promised. This is also what management or the steering group or an external client would expect from you should you be the project manager. It is a big responsibility. What is then project management? Turning to the more formal definition of project management, it is the application of knowledge, skills, tools and techniques to project activities to meet the project requirements. During this course, we will be putting quite a few tools in that toolbox of yours to help you be successful as a project manager and to deliver according to the requirements. You had fun while watching this video, didn't you? I told you that you would. Project management is such a fascinating area to work with, and I'm here to help you do it properly. care to share your thoughts? Leave a comment and I'll be happy to read it. If you still haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Thanks for watching. I'm Peter Sibelius and I can't wait to see you next time. Until then, goodbye.